that you're gonna look great. But if you wanna stay in shape, well, you better hit the ymWits.
That's right, man. You tell 'em.
Welcome to the ymWits podcast. I'm Ryan George.
I'm Justin Guild, a.k.a. Chef Sonic.
And I'm Tony Marinucci, a.k.a. Tips with Tony, a registered dietitian.
And we are the ymWits. So we got a weird setup today. It's a middle of a mini blizzard, and Tony's, because of the blizzard, was able to take the day off, but can't show up in studio. So we've got her on Skype. So it might sound a little different than usual. But how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
How is your vacation?
It was so beautiful. And you know what? I'm just happy that I'm back before the snow. Like before, I'm just happy I'm not stuck in the airport. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that would have been bad.
Those are worse.
It was very relaxing. It was everything I needed.
Nice.
Some R&R.
Yeah, I need that. I've got a couple months before I get to go away.
We should probably do an episode about like rest and recovery.
That would be a good idea.
Like mental and physical.
Yeah.
Because honestly, like I definitely am very guilty of treatment of when I really need rest rather than preventative of when I need rest.
Yeah.
I think I think the three of us work really hard and probably get so excited in the hustle of things that it would be a good episode to also challenge us. Maybe we should get an expert because I was so excited when I had some time to myself. I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
You don't even know what to do with yourself sometimes.
It took me a solid 48 hours to really calm down, which is not okay.
And my problem also is that I don't stop. Like I booked my vacation for June, and it's 10 days. But I packed in so much into those 10 days that it's not a vacation. It's just me running around constantly. Like I don't have a rest day or anything. So it's like there's this mental block that like rest is not good, and I can't sit and and relax. And I think I need to like fix that. So yeah, It's like you're right. It's like you're not treating the symptoms, but actually treating the actual problem.
So so guess what, Tony?
What?
We have a new fan.
What? Who?
And someone who is very willing to allow people to hear the podcast.
Okay. Why are you pointing at me?
Ryan will tell everyone who it is.
What? No, I don't. I don't know of any new fan.
You do know. We have a new fan, and she can request our podcast to be played, or you can request that she plays the podcast.
Oh,
yeah. Okay.
You texted me that.
Yeah. No. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well. Okay. So.
Way to ruin the surprise, Tony.
So here's the problem, Justin. So
I didn't say anything.
This is doubly bad, Justin, because first of all, so I guess normal normal inside baseball, whatever. Like this is the third episode we've recorded in the day. So this is the third time we've mentioned that we are available on the Amazon Echo via Alexa. So in Justin's mind and in Tony's mind, this is pretty new information that you can now ask Alexa that, to play the ymWits, and you can ask Alexa to fast forward 20 seconds or rewind 20 seconds and all that good stuff. So it's new in our minds, but in our listeners' minds, assuming you listen to every episode,
well, we don't know when this episode's going out.
Yeah, now I have to. Well, now I can't really do it first because I've talked about already releasing it. But then maybe I should do it first so that your whole bit about having a new fan. I don't know. You got to think about that. But
we do get new listeners on the regular basis.
That is true.
And not everyone listens to every episode, even though I would love to think that they do.
Yeah.
I know that they don't.
The numbers don't lie, so we definitely don't get listeners. So anyway, speaking of that, let's get to the meat of today's episode. It is an Ask...
Well, speaking of the meat of today's episode, I have an announcement to make.
Oh
God, what's...
Are you meat again?
Yeah.
Yes, but not for the reasons that you guys might expect.
What?
It's really only for a month because I am going on a very special diet, and I have a question for Tony. I'll start off the Ask the episode with my question for Tony.
Does this explain the diet that you're on?
It does.
Okay.
It does. So what I am doing is I am going on a diet very close to the IBS diet. Without giving too much information, over the last 5 months or so, I have suffered with stomach problems, bloating, diarrhea, sorry if it's TMI, frequent bowel movements, just very uncomfortable stomach issues that are debilitating. They sap your energy. They make you not want to do anything. And my solution to this was to, my God, these sirens have not stopped all day.
Yeah, when we're in the middle of a blizzard.
God, it's just crazy. So sorry to our listeners about these crazy sirens. So yeah, my solution was to really eat bland food. So stuff that might irritate my stomach, dairy, one of those things, certain acidic foods, certain fibrous foods, stuff that is sort of common knowledge. So I'm going to need some foods to sustain me. I'm not going to eat much red meat because I know that might not be best for the tummy, but I'm going to have some chicken cooked in a bland way and sort of peel back on the dairy. So my question for Tony is, what is sort of the reality with this type of diet? Is this sort of a good approach? And what are some foods that I should really be avoiding? And what are some foods that might be helpful?
Okay, so were you diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome?
No, and I don't believe I have it. I don't believe I have IBS. I don't think I do. But I have symptoms that are similar to it. So I've had stomach.
Did you go to a gastroenterologist?
I have a while ago. I have.
And what did they say?
I had issues. I had gastritis. Erosive
Do you think
gastritis.
it might be acting up again?
I believe it is. I believe it is.
So yeah. So
I don't think I have
where we
IBS.
have to always get the. Oh, sorry, you cut off.
Sorry, I said I don't. I'm pretty sure I do not have IBS, but I know that my stomach is irritated.
Okay, well, that's where we need to clarify before I could really give you any sort of guideline. I don't think having a bland diet right now, if your stomach's feeling irritated, is definitely not going to hurt you.
Okay.
It'll probably only make you feel better. If it is not gastritis and it is irritable bowel syndrome, then you need to follow it's called a low FODMAP diet.
Yes, I've looked all about the
which
FODMAP.
You've heard. Yeah, so that's going to be completely different than if you're treating gastritis. If you're treating gastritis, then you want to just go very bland and avoid things like I don't think you smoke cigarettes, but like cigarettes, caffeinated beverages. You want to like you don't do a lot of caffeine anyway, so that's fine.
I don't drink really.
And then like fried foods. So once again, keep it really, really bland. So the leaner the protein, the better. As for the dairy, are you lactose intolerant?
I'm not, but I find that when I eat a lot of dairy, it's exacerbated my symptoms.
Okay. So, I mean, for now, I would just keep your diet pretty bland. I would probably, I have to recommend that you go back to your doctor.
Sure.
And just follow up.
I will.
Yeah, so then we know. But I will send you an email of some guidelines that you can follow that's more specific.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Well, Justin, what's the first question?
All right. So let's cue it up right here. And one thing that's funny is we used to get these very short questions like, "Oh, what should I do to get my chest stronger?" And now we have these much longer questions. Actually, I really appreciate it. It means that people are into it and they feel free with they feel more comfortable with really giving their information about themselves to us.
They're also tired of hearing me say, "Interesting question." Now I would need a little bit more details about your situation to really answer completely. Well,
you just saw what Justin just asked. Like I had no idea he was going through that, and I had to ask him questions.
Yeah.
If I didn't have that detail, my answer could have been completely different.
All right, so let's see. Our first question comes from
Liz.
I'm trying to find the question here. I don't see it.
Read.
Oh, this is the Liz.
I have it. Do you want me to read it?
Oh, this is the question?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I see it. All right, so our first question is from Liz, and Liz writes, "Hi guys, I recently came across the podcast on Spotify when I was looking for some fitness motivation, and I've been binging on it for the past few weeks." Well, thank you, Liz. We love to hear that. That's great, and I'm glad you're enjoying the ymWits. "About a month ago, I injured my back, I'm assuming at the gym, and I had trouble walking for a few weeks, and I still don't have my complete range of motion and flexibility yet. I have trouble bending at the waist. I can't touch the floor when I bend over like I could before, and I feel pain when I sit on the floor with my legs straight out in front of me. But oddly enough, the pain isn't as much in my back anymore as much as in my lower right leg. It almost feels like a killer growing pain and over stretch of the muscle at all times. With that being said, I have 2 questions. I find myself a little afraid to push myself at the gym in fear of hurting myself again or pushing myself too hard. Do you have any suggestions for exercises to ease back into my regular workout? And she says, I miss leg day. And our second point is, on the podcast, you guys talk about proprioception fairly often. I'm really interested in learning more about this concept and how it can improve my workouts and overall life, as I am pretty clumsy, but I haven't had much luck finding a whole lot of information on it. Do you know of any books or websites that might be helpful?
Cool. All right. So I'm going to answer the second question first, only because I'm not really going to answer that. Honestly, there are some great studies and a lot of research about proprioception. There's some good articles, which I'll try to link to and find. I have not come across any books specifically on proprioception. There are plenty of books that are fitness related that include chapters and information on proprioception, but I haven't really... I can think of anything that would really give you the kind of information you want. Like there are texts out there that are more for the, professional that, maybe, really isn't useful for the layperson. But, what we will do is I'm going to put, proprioception up on the queue as far as episodes for us to work on. So we'll do a deep dive into proprioception, sooner than later, because I think that is something that will be fun, good to talk about, useful, and I think we'll be probably able to share more information on that. And I just can't find the right resource for that. So now on to the first question about the back pain. So I'm gonna have to kind of say this. I'm not sure since I don't know what the injury is, and the back, there could be a lot of potential sources for the injury, whether it's a hip flexor issue or gluteal issue or the abdominal issue or lower back issue. Is it the spine? Is it the muscles? So there are a lot of potential sources for the problem. So it's hard to say what exercises to do or not to do. So I would say step 1 is you do want to see doctor and PT, orthopedist, if it's something that persists. When it comes to getting back into your regular workout, I think the key is once you're, relatively pain-free, is really focus on doing things, lightweight with proper technique, with proper form, and, at a moderate pace. So you're not doing anything ballistically. You're not doing anything too fast. You're not, straining yourself with weights. Just really focus more on the range of motion. So you're doing full range of motion, that you're doing exercises that are, again, with the proper correct technique. It might be advisable to work with the trainer. So, often, the cause of injuries in the gym are just improper form. So, it might be worth it to have a trainer go over, proper form for the exercises you do like. And, incorporating mobility exercises, incorporating some good core exercises. We did a couple of episodes on the core, and we included some good, useful things that work to kind of use the core dynamically and the kind of the way it's supposed to be used for the body. It gets thrown around a lot as a buzzword, but your kind of quote core is like a belt that kind of stabilizes you when you're active. And so doing exercises that kind of focus on that will help a lot with making sure the back is in the right position and that it's not being overused when you're doing certain exercises. So, again, sorry, I can't give you the full answer because I don't know the nature of the injury, but really making sure, again, proper technique, light weights, full range of motion, mobility, really focus on those things. And then as long as your back is okay, you can then start to reintroduce, the weights that you want to introduce into that.
What are some cool exercises that can help with proprioception, balance, and things like that? I know you mentioned some of the core stuff. I found that to be really helpful. Are there any? What comes to mind? Anything?
You're gonna have to listen when we do proprioception.
Okay. Right. So, very cool. So we're gonna have to do a whole episode on that.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna put that up on the queue. I forget. We've talked proprioception before. Obviously, I'm forgetting if we did a full episode. I know I haven't done a fully again, some episodes I do a ton of research and get as much studies as I can and really kind of make sure that we're armed with the information. So I'm gonna make that my goal for one of the the next. We have a lot of stuff on our plate, but the next researched episode on fitness stuff will be appropriate reception, and we'll, again, I wish I could, we will be that source of information. That's what I can say. All right, so what's next?
All right, next is from MJ. Oh, Tony took an interest in this question. So you want to read this one, Tone?
No, read MJ's question.
MJ is not a question. MJ was just very nice and said that this isn't exactly a question, but I would like to tell you all that I just recently discovered your podcast on Spotify, and I've been listening regularly ever since. I love it, with exclamation points. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, MJ.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, emails like that make our day.
Yes, they do.
Really?
Especially with this blizzard out, the more good news, better. So that really is a sweetener to our day.
So more inside baseball is that for the next 3 weeks, people will hear us talking about blizzards as if we live like in Antarctica. Yeah. But it's all, since it was all the same day, we just keep talking about a blizzard.
Of course, I'm going to edit out all the lines where Ryan says it's the same day to make it seem.
No, don't do that.
Okay.
Actually, that would be kind of funny if you do. Oh, sorry. That would be kind of funny if you do.
Okay. All right. So I think Chloe's question was the one that Tony took an interest in.
All right. So, hi, Tony. My name is Chloe, and I'm from Australia. I heard you on the ymWits podcast, but am now following your own channel. I'm really enjoying your content. I have a question in regards to some sports-specific advice. Happy for you to reply directly to you or to use this topic or question on either of the podcasts. I play football, soccer, semi-professionally, and I find it hard to find consistent information in relation to meal prep or game day food, etc. Everyone on the squad does different things, and it becomes blurred when everyone has their input, and it's hard to compare yourself to other individuals when we all have different goals, body shapes, and positions on the field. I am a winger and need speed, agility, and strength. I currently weigh 62 kilograms. However, I would like to lose weight or fat in some areas to make me lighter on the field. However, I am not sure the best way to do this, given we train at a high intensity for 1.5 hours, 3 to 4 times a week during preseason, and we'll have a month or so. And this was like a month or so ago that she wrote this. I had a body scan done and can see a small amount of weight on my stomach, back, and upper legs. I've been wearing a heart monitor, and calories burned at training vary between 600 to 1,000 depending on the schedule. I want to make sure I am eating enough food to recover my muscles. However, I still want to lose some weight or convert fat into muscle. Do you have some general advice? I will always have 1 to 2 days in the week, which soccer will not fall on, so can do something different on those days. I do like to try and fit in an upper body workout, Pilates or swim on those days, though, but I'm totally open to your suggestions for food or routine. I currently have a pretty healthy diet and lifestyle and love to cook, so can work around most things. I'm not allergic to any foods and eat meat. I just like to avoid garlic and onion because it doesn't sit with me well. Let me know if you need any more details. Thanks so much, Chloe. So this question, I actually responded back to Chloe because I needed to know her height. She had told me her weight. It was a very, very detailed. She followed up by giving me her height, which then allowed me to determine if she was at a place in her body weight to lose weight, because she said she wanted to lose weight or convert fat into muscle. She's at a healthy weight for her height, and she also sent me a further detail of the body scan itself. And it showed me the body fat percentage, her total. I don't have it with me at this moment, but it was all within a healthy range. However, you have a question?
So Tony, how tall was she? Because 62 kilograms is, I think, approximately 100, almost 130 pounds, 128 pounds, something along those lines.
Yeah, and so I don't remember her height, but if it was healthy, then she was probably like 5'5".
Okay.
130. Yeah, probably around there.
Okay.
Or 5'7" even.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard. I don't have it with me, but either way, she was at a healthy weight for her height. Her body fat was healthy. However, for an athlete, she could have gone leaner. Now, Ryan, I'm sure you can speak to this. There's really no such thing as spot training. So even though she had certain areas that carried more body fat than others, she could probably do certain exercises. I'll let you talk to that, being, she's a soccer player, so maybe you can talk more about that. But as for diet, it's really important, especially now she's at the point where she's in season, even though when I responded to her then, it's important to use food as fuel. And then she probably wouldn't have to work too hard to really get that, to lose that weight and gain more muscle, because if she's really using food as fuel and not allowing for that added, maybe like an added cookie or cupcake or the things that really aren't really part of the diet, then she's likely naturally going to lose weight because she's working at it such a high intensity so many days a week. So I actually with her sent her like a pre-workout guidelines during workout and post-workout. So that way she's really using food as fuel around the time of her exercise. And then I just encouraged her to, when she's not, like after her, like, you know, make sure she has something 1 to 2 hours before her exercise, then 30 minutes before, it's after, then 1 to 2 hours after that, and then the hours in which she's not exercising, to just keep it healthy and just follow general healthy guidelines. It's really hard to, you know, if I could have probably followed up and asked for like a food diary and got a food diary recall from her and see what she's typically eating on a regular basis and then modified it that way. But just for like a kind of quick overview, it's really not much different than when we've talked about in like the nutrition for endurance episodes, you know, using carbs and protein. She might want to, you know, she needs the carbohydrates, but she might want to have it around her exercise regimen, and then make sure she's getting enough protein throughout the day, and then just making sure that her fats are lean and she's not overdoing it.
Yeah, so, Ryan, it's an interesting question now on the fitness side of things. She's already athletic.
Yeah.
Right? She plays a ton of soccer, so she's running a lot. What can you give to someone to help if they're looking to lose weight when they're already doing an exercise of that nature?
I mean, you have so from the fitness perspective, there's somewhat conflicting goals, because you have, you know, as a, you know, semi-pro athlete, obviously she's taking the sport seriously. So, and performance becomes the key. So from my perspective, but then if weight loss is also a goal, you potentially run into an issue where there's a conflict, because she might need the fuel. Like the fuel might be the most important thing. And so if the fuel is more important, then you almost, especially in a sport like this where you don't have, like, weight doesn't matter if you can perform. You can be 600 pounds, and if you're performing at a high level, it doesn't matter. So if by being at a caloric deficit, you know, that causes a diminished performance, it counters, you know, then the diet for the weight loss is going to counter the diet for the performance. So, you know, I think that in this case, you kind of have to pick what's most important, I would think, you know, and run with it. Because I think that I think when it comes to, again, performance, I think it's really you eat and do what you can to perform at a high level. And especially when you're working out that much and training that hard, you know, the priority is, again, how you're going to, you know, be on the field.
Yeah, I think when her question was lose weight or convert fat into muscle, I think the fat into muscle would be a better approach.
Yeah,
because you really she needs the food as fuel. So it might just be a matter of like portions and timing of meals and making sure she's having carbs for fuel and for protein for recovery, and, you know, all those things that matter with nutrition. But I wouldn't really recommend a caloric deficit.
Yeah, and then that's just I think something that'll take more time. So it's like, you know, if you wanted to, like, let's say if I'm 120 pounds and 30% body fat, and I want to be 120 pounds and, you know, 25% body fat, you know, the fastest way to do it is cut some weight, you know, and then put on some muscle, theoretically, right? But if you're looking to do that without the weight cutting part, it just takes a little bit. It's a longer process than doing it, you know, trying to cut your weight and then build it back up with the muscle.
As we know, you can't convert.
Well, you can exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like
add one.
So to do the math, you've got to lose it and then build, you know, or do it concurrently. But it doesn't. But it just takes longer.
Which makes it an interesting question. Would she be able to add lean muscle while during a soccer season, considering she's doing, you know, so much running and performance in that sport? Is it possible to add, or don't athletes generally try to add muscle or shape up the way they want to during the off season?
Typically.
Yeah, I mean, during the season, the goal is performance. So if you're, it's a little bit, it's hard to work on kind of your physical characteristics during the season, because the goal is performing and maintenance and injury prevention and, rehabilitation and prehabilitation. So you have all these focuses that really are geared towards what you do on the field. So, it's a little bit, it's more, that's an off-season thing to really focus on.
But she did ask the question, but when she was off-season.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, off-season, absolutely. Then that, there is that time period. So, like, again, and again, like, it's tricky because we're mixing nutrition and exercise. So from from a periodization standpoint, what I would say is right in the beginning of the off season, then you might be in a period of situation where you can focus really on more intense, heavier weight training, to try to, elicit like a muscle building response in addition to the diet, to kind of focus on the muscle building early on, knowing that as you get closer and closer to the season, that starts to taper off, and then you need to be more sport specific. So it might be a goal to like work on some muscle building and early on in the off season, and then start to work on maybe a little bit more weight loss as you get closer. And then you start focusing again more on skill building and conditioning, et cetera, until you get to the season where again, the focus is performance.
All right. Good stuff. All right. So our next question comes from Carolina. And Carolina says, "Hey guys, great show. My name is Carolina. I listen to your podcast on Spotify. I have a question for you. But first, some facts about me. I am 35 years old, female, 160 centimeters tall, which I think is about 5'2", 5'2 and a half. My weight is between 46 to 48 kilograms, which probably is around 100 pounds, right? So about 100 pounds. I really want to gain 2 or 3 kilograms. I am athletic, but really small in size. I am flexible. I am a flexible dieter. My macros are 246 carbs, 101 protein, and 51 carbs. I stick to them pretty religiously. My activity level is pretty high. I work as a cleaner, work from 6 a.m. till 4 p.m. and as a Zumba instructor.
Wow.
Yeah, 55-minute classes 2 to 3 times a week. And on top of that, I go to the gym and do my full body workout on the machines. Should I increase my macros or reduce my activity level? What exercises would be the best for me to build more muscles and get bigger and get a bigger size? Greetings from Copenhagen, Denmark.
Hey, somewhere I haven't been.
Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
You can go first.
So I'll let Ryan talk about the exercise, but I would say if you're going to continue exercising at this intensity and for this long, and you're trying to gain weight, and 2 to 3 kilograms is about 5 to 7 pounds or so, or 8 pounds. She was basically saying she sticks to her macros religiously, which is a good thing. But at the same time, if you're trying to gain weight and you're someone who's naturally small, I wouldn't be so religious about it. I would allow yourself to increase your carbs, your protein, your fats, and she put carbs twice. Okay. I would definitely increase that until you see some weight gain, and then you could always taper back to that the original macros that you were following until you get to the goal. It's going to be uncomfortable, but I wouldn't worry so much about, I want you to still have balance, but just double up on portions until you can get to the goal weight. And then once you're there, reassess if you're not going to cut back on the exercise.
Yeah. And I think from my perspective, obviously it's for women, it's generally, especially for a woman that has a hard time building, it's generally going to be, it's a lot more work to put on muscle. So that means that, the intake of calories needs to be, high and consistent. I've just seen from experience that, you can miss a couple days and it's hard to put back on. It's like the hardest to work with is always like someone who wants to put on weight but has a hard time with it, because it just takes one bad day and
you literally have
things
to.
Up.
Yeah, I've worked with people who've tried this before, and it's uncomfortable. And I don't think that's probably another episode we could do, because I think a lot of times a lot of different like podcasts or just be healthy eating in general usually is like the mindset is, oh, people want to lose weight, but there's plenty of people out there that are trying to gain weight and having extreme difficulty with it. And working with those clients, I know that it's uncomfortable for them, but they have to pay attention to their food, and they have to be doubling up, and they have to be eating consistently and like loading up their calories on a regular basis. And they have to try usually harder than they even think they do.
Yeah.
So that's why I wouldn't follow. That's why she was saying she's like following them religiously. I would like just like have a party for a while, like, and and just see what happens there. Yeah.
And from a weight training standpoint, so, there are a couple, obviously kind of compound movements are going to be better. So things that require multiple joints and that allow you to move heavier weights will be important. It's really lifting heavy weights is going to be a big thing if you're trying to put on muscle. So you want to be, typically in a 8 to 12 rep range, where those repetitions, when you're getting to your 8th, 9th, 10th reps, it's really hard, and maybe you can't do another rep or two. So you've got to be lifting heavy. High volume of work is going to be important. So you're not, you don't want to be in and out of the gym, in 10 minutes. Like, you got to be there a long time doing a lot of exercises, high volume of work, heavy weights. It's got to be progressive so that your weights are regularly increasing, so that, you're not stagnant. So that's another really important thing, is that you don't, if you're doing whatever, let's say you're doing a bench press or a machine press, you don't want to be at the same weight every week to week. Something should be getting better, whether you're doing a couple more reps, or you're doing heavier weight. Your actual training needs to be progressive, needs to be, heavy in general. What I've always found, men or women that want to build, but especially for women, it's just harder to put on that kind of muscle. So you've got to be really consistent with your training. I would say, 4 to 5 days a week of heavy weight training, in addition to keeping your calories up. And again, the weights have to be progressive. You got to be lifting heavy, a lot of compound movements. Over time that should help. But it's like the biggest, and that's why I think for me, where training to build, is so challenging, is that 1 or 2 missed days can really set you back a lot. So I think that, real key here is just the consistency in your training has to be there, in order, and if you do it, you'll see the results, but it takes a lot of work and a lot of time and, focus in order to do it.
Do you think she should slow down on her cardio days? If she's teaching Zumba, she probably doesn't have to go full force.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. I would say, every little bit helps. It's kind of like when someone's dieting and they want to lose weight, like every little area where you can cut calories helps. And in this case, like every little area where you can cut, expending calories may count as well. So I would say the focus really should be weight training, and maybe cut out a little bit, maybe cut the Zumba. And see how that, not cut the Zumba, cut the cardio, especially considering the activity level is pretty high. So, again, it just, every little bit will kind of help to add up. It shouldn't, if the cardio is, I would say if you're going to do cardio, do your weights before you do your cardio. But as long as you're not doing so much cardio that you don't have energy for the weights, it shouldn't preclude building muscles. But it may make more sense to put more effort into the weight training. And so that hour that whatever time or energy you put into cardio could be better served put into the weight training right now.
It's hard because she's saying that she does a full body workout on the machine. So I don't even think but the thing is, she's a Zumba instructor and she teaches 2 to 3 times a week. So that's hard. I would tell her to slow down as an instructor, but it's also it's really hard to give that advice. I also just became certified in Zumba, by the way, but I'm not teaching, but I have taught group classes before that are dance related, and bringing that intensity and that energy is what gets the room moving. So even though, because it's a good advice for her, but it's I almost wonder if she can't even do it. Yeah. How do you cut back on your cardio?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because it's work. So I would just say, you're just going to have to keep...
And her job is cleaning.
Yeah.
So that's where the nutrition, I think, is going to be really... Yeah. And the strength training, like you were saying, the progressive strength training.
Just eat and lift heavy.
Yep.
Have fun.
Have fun. All right. So our next question comes from Josh. And Josh writes, I have been listening to the ymWits podcast for a few months, and I've learned quite a bit of information that I've been able to apply to both my time in the gym as well as my everyday life. Well, thank you for writing in, Josh. A little background about myself. I have been lifting since high school, about 8 years now, and the extent of my knowledge has been about increasing my weights and bulking. I started lifting because of my want to play football throughout my high school career and have always had a bit of a gut. And he says his weight was from 190 to 240 in high school. Throughout college, I applied my football weight training and my weight increased from 240 pounds to 285 pounds by the end of my college career. My diet is mostly healthy, eating a few sweets and a lot of vegetables and lean meats like chicken and turkey. I do not want to push my lifts much higher, and I am comfortable with where I am at with weights and my lifting. What changes would you recommend for my workouts to cut the stubborn fat that has plagued me all my life without drastically reducing my lifts?
I mean, that's the magic, I guess, magic question. If anyone can solve that and be a millionaire, it's a challenge because, like, as we talked about earlier, you can't spot reduce. It just might be that you're going to have to do, you may need to cut some of your weight. And then as you cut some of your weight, you just kind of have to hope that you lose the fat in the areas that you want to lose the fat. But it's, to specifically target areas, as Tony, I'm sure, can attest to and will explain, you can't do that. So it's got to be, it just may be that you have to cut some weight, and by cutting weight, you lose in the areas that you want to. You can maintain a lot of your strength even when you're losing some weight, especially if it's done incrementally. So as long as you're consistent with your lifting, I don't think you'll have to drastically reduce your lifts or reduce the amount. And you can probably still even, add strength if you're not going on a severe diet. So I wouldn't worry too much about reducing that. It's just that, the amount that you take in may need to be, reduced in order for you to cut some of the weight. But again, since you can't spot reduce, there's not much you can do to target those areas without, targeting the weight and seeing that number go down a little bit.
You're definitely going to target if you're going to lose weight, you can't spot reduce. So you're going to have to be at a caloric deficit, right? There's no way around that. Now, as far as exercises are concerned, Ryan, would you recommend doing more sprinting and higher intervals as opposed to long bouts of cardio? Because we've read studies that say that sprinting is almost more like powerlifting, almost more like weightlifting than long distance running is. So perhaps by doing the sprint and those types of high intensity intervals might help at least maintain some of that lifting composition. Is there any truth to that?
Well, I never recommended that that he do any cardio. I didn't recommend cardio at all.
Cardio in general. But he's wondering. He's wondering what changes you make to the workouts. So he wants to know what he can do in his workouts.
Yeah. There's not. Again, if it's weight loss, even the extra, you'd have to do a ton extra cardio for it to make much of a difference. Sure. Versus really the diet being the area. Now, sprints can help, but you still come to the same problem of it's got to cut weight. So whether the weight cutting comes from diet or it comes from exercise, the one thing I'll say, and then I want to hear what Tony has to say about this, is high intensity interval training is a good method of working out, and it has been shown in some studies to kind of mobilize fat a little bit better than traditional cardio. But I think it's such a small level that I don't know that it makes that huge of a difference whether you're doing, that versus doing a traditional cardio workout. But I think from what I'm getting from this is that he doesn't want to cut the lifts too much. So I think that, to target that fat is going to be more of a diet thing than it is going to be an exercise thing. I think the sprints and and even more to your point, if he wanted to target the fat through cardio, it would be long duration cardio, because the sprints are great and they're great for your heart and they're good for your conditioning and fitness level, but it's still minimal as far as the total calories are burned. Where doing a longer, if he does an hour run or an hour and a half run, that's going to burn way more calories than if he does like a bout of Tabata. So yeah, that's why I think the diet is the key. So sorry, Tony, I've been wanting to get to you.
No, I know that's fine. I mean, but he's asking like different workouts, but I hate to break it to him, Joshua, I hate to break it to you, but chances are, like Ryan was saying, it's probably more nutrition related. And although you do eat a healthy diet, unfortunately, eating healthy doesn't result in weight loss. Eating healthy results in good health, and that's wonderful, but it doesn't result in weight loss because a lot of times it has to do with portions, timing of meals, pre and post workout meals. So I don't know, if you're also incorporating healthy fats and when you're having your protein and, you're having lots of vegetables, but are you having the starchy vegetables around your meal times to help you fuel your workouts? Are you hydrating properly? Are you eating too much? There's a lot of things that are kind of unknown, but I feel like it sounds like you have a good basis of healthy eating. So to lose body fat and to lose weight, then it's all a matter of portioning those meals and timing them appropriately. So if you want to follow up with a second email, I'd be happy to address it. If you want to give us a little bit greater detail of what you eat on a daily basis.
Cool. Would it be helpful to have something like find out body fat percentage?
Sure.
Do a test like that?
That can help. Absolutely. I think we'll have a question something dealing with body fat coming up. But yeah, no, I think that's it. It's unfortunately a lot of it is just you gotta it's
there's so many
volume.
Factors.
Yeah.
Like also he could be eating great and exercising, but he might not be sleeping.
Yeah, absolutely. And it could also just be body type. Like, there are lots of guys that are really big, but just that there's just a little bit of fat and it's hard. I mean, the perception is a big thing too. We see the ideal body in the media has like a ripped six pack and no body fat, and that's just not realistic and not healthy and not
it's
ideal.
It's actually not even healthy. Yeah. That's another thing too that I think a lot of people don't recognize is to see your abs. It's not recommended to have that low fat of body fat percentage for long term. Yeah. It's not like it's unhealthy for short term, but it's also not healthy for long term. Yeah, which is completely where it's so. Our society makes us think completely differently. Yeah. And that's why I was telling him that's great that he eats healthy. He probably then is healthy, but aesthetically, if you want results, there's a lot more to it than just eating healthy.
Yeah. All right, cool.
All right. So our next question comes from Josh all the way in Manila. So thanks for writing in, Joshua.
We had Australia, Manila, Copenhagen. So
yeah, that's awesome.
International.
Love it.
Following.
Awesome.
So Joshua says, greetings from Manila. I recently joined this gym chain, which I think you are familiar with. It's called Anytime Fitness, and I have a few queries about this new journey of mine that I wanted to share with you guys. One, the gym is 24 hours open. I'm pretty used to going to the gym before I go to work. I'm on mid-shift, so I go to the gym around 10 in the morning and head straight to work around 12 noon since my shift starts at 2 p.m. and travel time usually takes 1 to 2 hours. It's a pretty hefty commute. More power to you, Joshua, for being able to do that. I was going to ask about if I were to miss a session in the morning of my daily workout, would it be advisable for me to hit the gym after my shift, which is usually around 12 midnight or 1 in the morning? Should I adjust my workout the following morning as well? I'm worried that it might cause me to change all of my workouts for the entire week or make me miss the following morning's workout. And the second point, I recently got assessed by the local trainer in my home gym, and she made me take the in-body machine exam. I took note of all the details in there, but I'm not sure if I can interpret all of them with a much deeper analysis. She was able to give me a basic description of the stuff in the exam, but I'm working my way to analyzing how the data in it can help me personally during my workout and in my diet. Maybe you can share stuff in the podcast about the results and what they mean. That would be great. Thanks a lot. More power to the ymWits. Regards, Josh. Once again, Josh, thank you for writing in.
All right, so let's see. So to get to the first question about, well, I'm not sure the first question, but regarding the timing of your workout. So it's perfectly fine to work out, do the workout at midnight and then do the next workout in the following morning. My only thing I would say is just make sure you get a good night of sleep, so, and then consider how the evening workout makes you feel. Like, I know some people who, when they work out in the evening, or in your case, even late evening, early morning, it's really hard to go to sleep right after. And I know some people who it's easy for them to fall asleep. So there are lots of different studies about claiming what time is the best time of day to work out, and really that none of that matters. It's what's best for you. Mm-hmm. So my only thing about that is just make sure it's a time that it doesn't affect you personally. It doesn't make it hard for you to go to sleep. And then, yeah, like I said, if you work out at 12, you get home, you get a good night of sleep, and you get to the gym the next day and you feel good, it's perfectly fine. I would probably not do back-to-back bouts of heavy weight training. Like, I probably would say do like a cardio workout at night and do a strength workout in the morning. Since you're not used to the late workouts, maybe do something a little bit less intense. So if you have back-to-back days, maybe pick the less intense workout to do in the midnight time when you're not used to working out at that time. So that's the main thing, is just really trust your body and try to go with how you feel. I would say if you're going to skip one or the other, skip the midnight workout because you're not used to it, and stick with the earlier workout. So that's the first thing. Let's see. Should you adjust like I said, adjusting the workout, I would just adjust it so that you're not doing the same type of workout back to back. You do want a bit of time to recover. And so that 8-hour sleep time may or may not be enough. Especially as, it doesn't sound like, if you were like a high level athlete, that's a little bit different. I'd maybe give a little bit different answer. But for somebody who's, just trying to get in shape, or stay in shape, I would just try not to mix types of workouts, if you can. So the InBody workout, I'm the InBody assessment tool. I'm not too familiar. I know it uses kind of bioelectrical impedance, and there are a number of different machines that do it. Basically the way it works, to give the very simple answer is that muscle retains more muscle retains more water than fat. So it sends an electrical impulse from one side to the next, whether it's the feet or the hands, and it kind of based on the amount of time it takes, it uses the algorithms based on that and your weight and other stuff to give you an estimate of your body fat. With any body fat measurement that isn't the one that sticks you underwater, there's some variance. So you don't necessarily want to judge you don't want to look at it and say that's my actual body fat, but you want to compare that to the results you get later. So whether it's somebody sticking you with calipers or whether you're doing the bioelectrical impedance, which usually in a gym is a machine. I think the InBody you stand on, but I could be wrong. But all the same idea is don't look at the number so much as look at the difference between when you take it now and when you take it, a few months from now. As far as analyzing, the data, it's really easy. And this is something also Tony can speak to. It's really easy to get bogged down in it because it'll give you it'll give you your lean body weight. It'll give you the fat weight. Then it'll break down, a lot of them will break down your basal metabolic rate, and it'll give you all these numbers to mess with, It really depends on what your goal is. So if your goal is to put on muscle, then you might want to look at like the lean body weight is going to be an important thing for you because that number should be going up. If you want to build muscle, then you really want to focus on that number increasing. So I wouldn't be bogged too much down in all the data, but I would be bogged down in, is that lean body weight going up? Because if you put on 10 pounds, but it's 10 pounds of fat, then you're not accomplishing your goal of building size. Similarly, if you want to lose weight, then you want to look at the fat weight. And also I would say, look at your body fat percentage as well as the fat weight, because it's really easy to lose a lot of weight. But if you lose it too fast, your body fat percentage may not go down all that much. And so then again, just like building, you may lose weight, but you've lost more healthy weight than fat weight. So, if your goal is to lose weight, you might want to pay attention to the percentage and the fat weight, and see, try to see where that's going. Again, if you're looking at your calorie information, you may want to look at the basal metabolic rate. That'll help you get an idea of, an idea of, how many calories you need, and then whether you need to be at a deficit or not. And then, Tony, what are your thoughts on this?
I completely agree. It sounds like he's just starting to. It sounds like he just joined the gym. He's just getting adjusted to this new lifestyle. I would use them as guidelines and as trackers, but do not take them to heart. So don't get, caught up in, oh no, I'm at this body fat. I want to be at this body fat, and therefore maybe I should just give up, or or with your diet, if you think you're not eating the proper amount of calories, if you're just starting with a program, you want to use those as a tool for measurement and as a way to see if you're headed in the right direction. So that's probably all I would say to that. As for the exercise, I do want to just say something, because I completely agree with you, Ryan. At the end of the day, it has to be what works best for you and your schedule. And with this guy, he mentioned that if he misses his morning and he goes at night, is that fine? And I would agree with you. I think everything you said is correct. I personally just want to mention how when I procrastinate to do it at night, I don't get it done. So what I want him to just be cautious about
Jack Reacher episode, we talked about that.
Just don't depend on that. Because then what happens is in the morning, you tell yourself, oh, I'll just go at midnight. And then you're like, oh, I'm too tired, or whatever it is.
Something will come up.
Yeah, just totally see how you do. Some people do love working out at nighttime, at midnight, and it works for them, and they can fall asleep after, and that's awesome. And like Ryan was saying, it really is what's best for you and your lifestyle and what you can commit to and you're going to be consistent with. I just wouldn't use it as now, oh, you can fall back to that. Just from experience, someone who's been trying to, I finally found the regimen that works for me. It's been years, but so.
From my experience going to the gym late, and there was a time where I was going at 1 a.m. That was probably the latest I ever went. It sort of felt good. I didn't feel quite as energized, although I definitely got a good workout. It was a time when I was going to the gym a lot, generally in a similar time in the afternoon, around 12 or 1 I was going. And I felt going at night, I felt good, but it felt a little weird, right? I had trouble sleeping. Things were a little different, and then I eventually adjusted. But I think a lot of people will notice a little something odd if you just radically start working out, especially at a time when your body is supposed to be winding down. So once again, some people can do it, or some people really love working out late at night. There's a psychological benefit to it as well, and that sort of the rest of the world is winding down and getting to sleep, and you're in your own world and you're doing it. So probably a lot of people find that very there's not many people there, so there's
no
something
one's on your weight rack.
Exactly. There's something really cool about having the gym to yourself and just about doing it at that time, especially if you're a night owl, which I certainly am, and certainly was even more so during that time. But I did feel a little weird, so maybe be prepared to feel a little odd the first few times. And also, Tony, if you're working out that late, what might he think about as far as a post-workout meal? He probably doesn't want to stuff himself at 2 a.m.
Yeah, but he also does want to eat. So
but you got to eat at the same time.
Yeah, so you still want to have something, you don't want to skip, but a smoothie might be good, but making sure that it's a smoothie that has both carbs and protein and maybe a little bit of a healthy fat. So that way you feel full, you feel satisfied, but it's easily digested, and it's nutritious at the same time. Or just be mindful that, all right, you just have to have, a certain amount of carbs, certain amount of protein, maybe a little bit of veggies or whatever, but just keep it small because you're going to bed. So it's just to recover, and then you're going to sleep. So.
All right. So, Ryan, do we have any more questions that are hidden?
Nope, that's it.
All right, well, thank you to everyone for writing in. That was great stuff.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, well, as usual, keep your questions coming in. Whenever we post an Ask the Trainer episode, we get a nice influx of questions, so hopefully we get some more. We always enjoy answering. If we answered your question and you have follow-ups for us, you're more than happy to take the follow-ups. We love the engagement. Again, if you haven't done so yet, go to survey.lispin.com/the ymWits and fill out a survey. It helps us out a lot. All of our stuff is on thegymwits.com. Don't forget to listen to and subscribe to the Tips with Tony podcast if you haven't done so yet.
Thank you. Thanks for the shout out.
And I think that is it.
Yep.
So I'm Ryan George.
I'm Justin Guild, aka Chef Sonic, reminding you that truth does not sell.
And I'm Tony Marinucci, aka Tips with Tony, a registered dietitian.
And we are the ymWits.
ymWits.